Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Ali with me in the studio. Shaka's here. Don's here. Don, we were talking before, you hate books.
Uh-oh.
I've got no time for them, Dan. I love movies.
Right.
I've got no patience for a book. But what happens? Like you can't just read the book all in 1 hour or 2 hours. It takes you like weeks. I watch a movie in an hour and a half.
Hey, man.
But how do you go back? How do you go back to the bit where you were, like say 5 days later, when you could just watch the movie?
Well, because you got a memory and you remember what you read before.
Too much football. Too much football on.
Normally, the book is better than the movie, though, isn't it? Take The Beach, for example. Brilliant book, terrible movie.
Didn't mind that, actually. Didn't mind the beach.
Yeah, well, that's because you didn't read the book. Tell me what you were missing. Since Don was 1 year off with his Hammers prediction, what's his latest prediction so we know that it will actually happen the season afterwards? Good question. You said West Ham finished in top 4 last year.
I did. And I fancy, if we're going ahead a year, Liverpool win the league next season.
All right, OK, good. We'll get our money on it now.
Maybe not.
Have any of you ever had an on-field scuffle with a teammate, or maybe in training like Kepa and Rudiger did, like you went at each other and had to be separated by fellow teammates? I'm going to go to our non-reader here, because I feel drawn to Don for this story.
Yeah, I got involved with one at West Ham in my first spell there, and it was an Australian player, and I can't think of his name, and he was hard as nails. And me and Harry Redknapp didn't really get on. The manager, me and him, just didn't get on. And there was a little bit of fisticuffs in training. And I expected, as it normally happens, everyone gets involved and they push you aside and you give it this and you give it that. Then nothing more happens. Harry Redknapp decided to get everyone in a square and he went, no, let's watch them have a proper fight.
Wow.
And I was like, no, he's hard as nails, H. Like, no. Obviously, I had to try and go in there and try and look after myself. It was an absolute hide into nothing.
Don, was this some sort of pay-per-view event that Harry Redknapp had organised?
Robbie Slater, his name was. It's just come to me.
Don, I've never heard anything like that in my life.
Yeah, Harry was like, get in the square, get them two in, let them sort it.
Wow.
So did you win or not? Did you win or not?
Of course I didn't, Ali. No, I'm a pretty face. I'm not a boxer.
What was your problem with Harry Redknapp, Don?
Me and him just used to just argue and just petty arguments. The two of us were just quite childish and we just rubbed against each other. And then Harry was brilliant away from the training ground. You put a tracksuit on and he was just hilarious, but me and him just didn't gel. There was no hatred there. We both loved each other, really. We just rubbed each other the wrong way.
Yeah, loved you, so he put you in a big fight with the very hard man.
Exactly.
That sounds like great love.
Yeah. Hoping that you would get destroyed.
Shaka, you
Have
love
a look
Harry
at Robbie
Redknapp,
Slater.
though.
Go on Robbie Slater images. You'll not want to fight him.
Oh, well, no, I wouldn't want to fight many people, to be honest.
Yeah, based on size, I think Dan, maybe on the featherweight division.
My forte. Unless I'm fighting with my words. Shaka, you love Harry.
Yeah? Nope, I've never come to blows with anybody like that. Nothing more than the usual heated argument that every player and a teammate gets into at some point. Nobody's ever had to put me in a square and beat me up.
Shaq, were you know at West Ham when Di Canio started a row at half time and he blamed Ian Pearce, who was one of the hardest men ever. Yeah. And Ian Pearce was one of the hardest men ever.
That was me.
Or was it with you? And then Thomas Repka got involved, who was a nutcase.
Wow.
You were involved, David James was involved, and Di Canio just moonwalked out the dressing room, left everyone fighting.
I can't. Well, me and Di Canio got into it away at Birmingham City in the cup one year because he was supposed to be in the wall, decided to go walkabout. They just put the ball right where he's supposed to be. They go in, halftime 1-1, and then we get into a shouted match at halftime in the dressing room. When we go back and you see the board, who's supposed to be where. So me and him got into it in the dressing room. I mean, in the end, worked out. I think we won 2-1, if memory serves me correctly. So nothing more came of that.
You don't want to get in a fight with Shaq. See that wingspan? He'll just jab you to death. You know, he'll keep you out there. He can't.
Really big hands.
Big hands, long arms. No, you don't want Shaq.
No.
Although a little soft. if you can get inside, I think you can get a. And plus, not the hardest worker either. So if you can get him past the first couple of rounds, I think you got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you just been nailed there,
Who would you
Shaka.
least like to be up against? If you had to be put in a box with an FC pundit, who would the person you would least like to see there?
Frank Leboeuf.
You think so?
Well, Frank is in shape. The rest of this crew is not in shape.
I don't know. Like, I imagine Robbo's got to switch. Like, Robbo's got to switch, really. He will just keep going until one of you is dead.
But he's got a bad back, you see?
Right.
So
What about Gab?
you got to move him around,
might
move
be
him around a
dangerous
little
in
bit.
Gab could be dangerous in there, I reckon.
Oh, dear. He'll just bore you to death with financial fair play stats.
Yeah, and then that's it. You win, Gab. You win.
It's over.
Don, is the loss against West Brom just a one-off, or do you think the Blues will bounce back with a win against Porto on Wednesday? Also, Don, you said on your commentary we're going to lose 5-2, and we did. You don't like Chelsea anymore, do you?
Come on. It was the most craziest game ever. I mean, Thomas Tuchel made like a million mistakes in-game, before the game, going 3 centre-halves against 1 centre-forward and bringing Andreas Christensen on when he could have left his forwards on and playing a back four, and it was just really a bizarre game to commentate on. And at 4-1, they would never get back in the game. That's why I called it. It feels like a 5-2. Exactly what happened. I think it is a blip, and they will bounce back, but it was a brilliant game to commentate on because it was just nuts.
Shaka, the pitch at the Emirates runs north-south, so your joke about the Thames is possible pending the direction of play in that particular half. That's a very specific tweet about what you said yesterday.
What?
Yes. We all know, I knew that all along. I knew exactly where the Thames was in relation to the Emirates pitch.
Yeah, what was you said that Arsenal were playing so deep that they could have been in the Thames, I believe. Is that your quote from yesterday?
Yeah, if they got, yes, pretty much. I was just trying to wind my mate up who's a big Arsenal fan, and he takes these things very seriously. We've had this discussion. He takes these things very seriously. It was so much fun. So much fun.
Don, having experienced both sides of the Merseyside derby, did you enjoy being the underdog Everton or the favourite Liverpool?
Always the underdog. Always the underdog. I played my best football underdog. Scotland at Wembley, Sunderland at Newcastle, loads of London derbies. Man of the match in, I think, well, it was the last game that Everton went there and won, which was 99, but they obviously won a couple of months back. So, yeah, being the underdog's great when you're in good stadiums.
I imagine, Ali, you got a little tired of being the underdog, for example, in CONMEBOL qualifying.
You mean every game? minus Bolivia, perhaps Peru, Ecuador. But then after that, every time was the underdog. And that is, I suppose it's fun to some degree, but to be quite honest with you, I would rather be on the other side because if you're the favorite, you usually have better players.
Yep.
You usually have a better team. And more times than not, you're going to win. So this whole underdog role is cute for a while, but then I'd rather be on the other side.
Let's talk dodgy agents, and that draws us to Shaka, doesn't it, with his history. Why do players gravitate to agents like Mino Raiola, who is always in the spotlight and may give players unwanted attention, Shaq?
Because they get the job done. You can criticize Mino Raiola all you want, but he's made an awful lot of money for his clients. And when you're a footballer and you're considering what to do next and how short your career is, making an awful lot of money in a short space of time is always attractive.
The other thing is, Dan, that if you have a guy like Mino Raiola representing you and he has sort of this negative publicity about him, then everything negative about the transaction is going to land on the shoulders of Mino Raiola rather than you individually as a player. They'll never say something about you as a player. They'll say, well, it all happened because the agent, he's the one that took care of it. Well, maybe in the background you were saying, I don't want to go over there. I want to go over there.
Don, would you have liked Mino Raiola as your agent?
As the lad said, I'd have liked the money landing in the bank account, but I don't like some of the stuff that modern agents come out with. I must admit, it doesn't sit well with me when they criticise managers when their clients are not playing. I think they shouldn't get involved. But listen, those guys are not for me. But as Shaka said, they get the job done for their player.
Ali, why do so many strikers who seem world-class in the Bundesliga why can't they recreate the same form outside of Germany? It's gone Jovic, Werner, Silva, Alcacer.
Well, I think you're putting me down the path of saying, well, you know.
I'm not putting you down any path.
No, it sounds like you're putting me down the path of telling me that, well, in the Premier League you have to be special.
But this isn't necessarily just Premier League, is it? Jovic struggled at Real Madrid.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
I know. This is one of those.
So you're actually not being yourself right now?
No, I'm just reading the question. I don't like why I'm being pigeonholed here.
Okay. When we think of the Bundesliga, and it tends to be very open. It tends to be back and forth, which to some degree makes it exciting. But then you go to places like Spain, and it's about your technical ability and working in tight spaces and the expectations that comes with delivering at Real Madrid, which Luka Jovic struggled to do, obviously. And then in the case of Timo Werner, who, again, comes from an environment in which he was the guy, he was the man, goes to Chelsea, doesn't start scoring goals very early on. Now the pressure and the expectations get on top of him, and as any player in that sort of position, either you match those expectations or all of a sudden you take a step back, and Timo Werner has done that. There's no confidence right now for Timo Werner, and I think individually what you see from him is that he's a mess right now.
When transitioning from being a player to a normal everyday life, what was the hardest thing to cope with, Shaka? Did teams provide any professional advice, or was it just a boot out the door?
See it.
Well, City back in our day, it was pretty much just a boot out the door. I'm not sure if clubs do that now and provide any kind of whether it's counselling or financial planning or whatever it may be. That was up to you. The toughest part of it certainly is going from earning at a certain level, and you have expenses to match that earning in terms of car notes and mortgage, 5 kids, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're making what most people make, and somehow having to shoehorn all that into the same budget. That was the toughest test. And one that I'm still trying to figure out, Dan.
Ali, we were talking just a couple of weeks ago about how simple things like MRI scans and medical treatment and stuff like that, which would just be on tap when you were playing, all of a sudden you have to be normal.
Everything when you're a player at the professional level, it's VIP. Something as simple as the fact that you just, I don't know, twisted an ankle in practice. They want to check it out. They want to take a scan of it. You go directly to the scan machine. You don't even see the people in the lobby. You don't even see the people at the front desk. You go directly to the scan machine and say, yeah, is it broken, is it not broken? And you get the results right then and there. You don't have to wait for a week. You don't have to wait for a phone call. No. Is it broken, is it not broken? Do I keep playing? And like that. That's just an example of so many different things. When you go into airports, that's the security done. See you guys. Hey, bye-bye. We're going to go this way. The whole life of a professional player is VIP. And when that stops, it does take some getting used to the fact that now you're back to being just a member of society. And while you don't think of yourself as something better or greater than a normal member of society, you've been treated as such, and so therefore it takes some getting used to you got to go in the security line at the airport. Yes, sir, go over there.
Don?
I would have been fine, but I lost £1 million in a divorce, so I mean, apart from that, I'd have been absolutely... No, I think like what the lads are saying, like when you're playing, I remember playing in Europe with Liverpool, and I remember all I had to do was take my passport, and my suitcase was left at Anfield, and then the next minute I'm in Italy, and my suitcase is in my bedroom.
Wow.
I didn't have to take my suitcase through the airports, through security. All I needed was a passport, got on the plane, got to the hotel, suitcase on the bed.
Yep.
But it's the structure I think that you miss. You know, it sounds great when people say, oh, you can retire when you're 35 and live the life. But footballers have been used for like 17, 20 years of being told what time to be in a training, what you're going to eat, what time you're finished, what lunch you're going to have, what time you report later on or the next morning or to a hotel. Then all of a sudden the whole thing's gone and you're like, what do I do now?
The other thing I think is in the family dynamics is that you have a release when you go on play the games, when you go on practice. There's an energy that you put out, and then all of a sudden, all that stops, and now you're home and you're looking around. It's like
divorce.
Where do I get my high?
Yeah.
Where do I get?
I'm not even sure.
What is it that I do now? And all this energy that I have pent up, what do I do with it? And so then you pick up golf and you fail miserably.
Not even sure
That's all right.
Here, this is good. What's the most expensive thing you guys bought, and how much was it?
Oh.
Stevie would definitely have bought a Prius. He does drive a Prius. That is 100% correct. Shaka, are we going down the Maserati line?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? How much was that,
well,
Shaq,
yeah, you
back in the day?
I think I paid 65 grand for it, somewhere around there.
And this is back when Shaq was a player. That's a while back, so woo!
That's good. Go on, Shaq. Don, you had some money back in the day pre-divorced.
Crikey, if Shaka's is 65, then I'm going to be in for some pain here. When I signed for West Ham, I went to a Ferrari dealership and spent 145 grand on a 550 Maranello, and it was absolutely beautiful. And then my first kid came, and I had to bin it, and I lost about 50 grand in the space of about 9 months.
Look, man. You had it for 9 months, Don.
I think I had it. I think I had it about 7-8 months. On 50 grand.
Oh dear! I just did the math.
No maths on my part. The good news is, though, I got an Aston Martin DB7.
Oh, good. Final question. Who among the guys is most likely to compete with Frank in terms of physique? Obviously, except Stevie. This is, of course, Frank's Instagram post. Did you see this, everyone?
Oh, hello.
Right.
Hello.
Wow.
Ali, how would you compare to that?
I'm not quite that, but I'm well taken care of right now. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I'm looking nice and slim these days.
Oh,
you know it.
Yeah,
you love it. You've seen it.
I've seen the development.
Shaka's off. Look,
Where's Shaka gone?
Where's he gone?
He's doing some press-ups.
He's got to look at his Maserati pictures. Shaka, what are you
Is he
doing?
press-ups? Where have you gone, Shaq?
What are you doing?
I'm avoiding that Frank comparison.
On yesterday's show, Shaka said that he wanted to see Frank with Marmite spread all over his body.
That is not what I said. That is not what I said.
Don.
No, I've got no left shoulder and ACL injury in the right knee from years ago. So I'm doing 25k a day on the bike. Yeah. And I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
You're hating it, Dan.
No, your Instagram post, I did 25k today. Here's the map of my cycling. Brilliant.
Just letting the world know that I'm keeping fit. It's fantastic.
Thanks, world. That is it. Thank you very much, guys. We will be back, hopefully, tomorrow for more. Champions League tomorrow. Liverpool against Real Madrid, of course, will dominate the show. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.